For the price, this might seriously be the best alternative to Sauvage Elixir. So let's review Lattafa Asad now. Hey, what's up guys? Fragrance Hunter here and welcome back to the channel where I upload weekly fragrance content. So of course you know the drill. Hit the subscribe button down below if you love fragrances and make sure to follow me over on my Instagram page. Now, today we are reviewing a very hyped fragrance in the community. It seems like everybody's been talking about Asad. Now, this is actually my first introduction to the house of Lattafa. And I know I am fairly late to the game, but hey, better late than never, right? And if you are watching this and you've never heard of Lattafa Asad, you're gonna want to stay tuned because this is gonna be something you're gonna want to check out. Lattafa is a Middle Eastern house that kind of takes inspiration from very popular fragrances. This one, of course, is inspired by Sauvage Elixir, but we'll talk about a little bit later if that's actually the case and how close it is to Sauvage Elixir. And I also do own Lattafa Kamra, which is inspired by Angel Share, and I'm gonna have to review that one very soon because that's got a ton of hype behind it also. But today is all about Asad, so let's go over some information. Now, this was actually launched back in 2021, so it has been around for quite some time now, and I think just started to get some traction within like the last year or so. That's crazy too because Sauvage Elixir was launched around the same time, so Lattafa was not messing around when they came out with this. So the retail price on the only size you can get this in, which is I believe 100 ml, is gonna run you around that $30 mark, maybe sometimes less, maybe sometimes more, which is an absolute bargain for what you're getting. And I will leave a link on this video at the best price it could be had for, even though it does go out of stock very quickly. The concentration is in eau de parfum, but to be honest with you, this actually does kind of wear like an extrait de parfum, which Sauvage Elixir is. So this stuff is extremely potent and comes across very thick. The perfumer is unknown, and that's usually the case with these Middle Eastern brands. They don't ever list a perfumer, so we're not sure exactly who was the nose behind Asad. But with all the information out of the way, let's look at the packaging and presentation you get with this fragrance now. Okay, so looking at the box, which is this kind of like rubberized material, which feels nice to the touch. Of course, you have this kind of gold logo going on, some Arabic language, Asad Lattafa. On the bottom, you will find your barcode and batch code to authenticate your product and see when it was produced. Mine is right there if you want to look it up. Nothing really on the back besides some more information. You do have this hologram. On top, you do have the Lattafa logo. Now, let's look at the bottle now. Looking at the bottle, and this bottle may look good on camera, however, it is probably one of the cheapest feeling bottles in my collection. But looking at the aesthetic, I think it does look fairly nice with the kind of black matte finish with the gold accents, and you do have this kind of ribbon going across the bottle. On the bottom, you do have your sticker with some information, nothing on the back. On top, you do have this kind of cool black plaque with the Lattafa logo. Nothing inside of the cap, which is very like cheap plastic, nothing on the atomizer. And guys, my bottle when I got it is actually cracking because this isn't glass, it is plastic. And as you see, I do have a few cracks going around the entire side, and it was actually leaking when it came in the mail. So just a heads up there, but it's not really the end of the world. In the top, you have black pepper, tobacco, and pineapple. In the mid, you have patchouli, coffee, and iris. And in the base, you have vanilla, amber, dry wood, benzoin, and labdanum. And this will be classified as a sweet spicy. So let's spray this and test out these atomizers. Decent atomizer. It's not really pressurized, but it does shoot out a ton of juice, which is always nice. Now, let's go ahead and remind myself of this very hyped Lattafa Asad. Right away, when you spray this fragrance and you have smelled Sauvage Elixir, I do have a bottle right down there. It is gonna smell very recognizable because, like I said, it is taking inspiration from Sauvage Elixir. But in the opening of this, you are gonna get a very, like I'm talking very spicy black pepper note that does come across a little bit harsh and kind of screechy. Doesn't really come across the highest quality, but you kind of expect that when you're paying around that $30 mark. But without a doubt has that very over-the-top spicy opening like Sauvage Elixir. However, there is a slight difference in the opening because that pineapple is listed, and believe it or not, I do actually pick up on some of that juicy kind of fruity pineapple, but it's like way behind the black pepper. And it kind of surprised me because I know a lot of people never talk about the pineapple in here, but if you actually like dive into this fragrance and dissect it, you definitely pick up on some of that juiciness from the pineapple. And I believe Sauvage Elixir uses grapefruit, which was never really prominent in there either, but it is a little bit of a twist with the opening. And I would classify this as about an 80% clone to Sauvage Elixir, which is a good thing since it's not like a one-of-one, but still captures that whole aroma that Sauvage Elixir is known for. And once it starts to dry down after a few moments or so, and we make our way into the mid of Asad, is when this earthy patchouli starts to come through. That's also pretty green as well. I'm not getting any, and I mean any, of that coffee or that iris that's listed. And this is also where it kind of differs to Sauvage Elixir, because Sauvage Elixir is somewhat of an aromatic fragrance, of course, from the lavender that's used in there. This though has no lavender, it's completely absent from the composition, which possibly even makes this one more appealing than Sauvage Elixir, because I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fans of aromatics. They are kind of like dated, a lot of people think. If you smelled Sauvage Elixir and you thought maybe it was a little bit too aromatic from the lavender, you're gonna absolutely love this one. Alongside the patchouli in the mid is when you're gonna get that tobacco that's actually listed in the opening, which I don't get right away. It does start to come through as it dries down, which does go hand in hand with patchouli since they're both very earthy notes, but it also brings a slight smokiness, and it starts to turn even more smoky as this fragrance dries down and gets into the base. Because in the base is when this fragrance starts to smooth out much more than that harsh kind of screechy opening like I said a little bit earlier. And you are going to be greeted with this nice kind of creamy, warm vanilla that's also a little bit spicy, mixed in with this amber, which go hand in hand as well. What also makes itself known is that labdanum note. So labdanum is kind of a floral, but it actually gives off this kind of leathery, smoky accord when you smell labdanum. And like I said, this fragrance does turn more smoky as it dries down. Just through and through from the top with that very spicy black pepper with a pinch of that juicy pineapple, which starts to dry down a little bit earthy from the patchouli and tobacco. And then you're left with a creamy kind of a warm amber vanilla, a little bit of that dry wood going on with a smoky, leathery kind of labdanum. You will also notice the licorice note is missing from Asad, which Sauvage Elixir's probably most known for is that licorice. I think that's one of the most dominant notes in there. And I know that note a lot of people hated from that fragrance. That might be a good thing that Lattafa did not use licorice in here. Pretty much if you are looking for an alternative to Sauvage Elixir, since that fragrance is like $250 for 100 ml, which is outrageous for a designer fragrance such as that, I think this is a fantastic alternative and it's not gonna break the bank. Now for the best seasons to wear Asad, this beauty is versatile, guys. I mean, you can wear this all 4 seasons, fall, winter, spring, and summer. Even though it is a little bit like dense and potent, where it might be too much in the high heat summer days, but still, if you wanted a fragrance that's signature scent worthy and versatile, you could absolutely pull it off in the summer, just spray a little bit less. And for occasion as well, this thing just suits whatever you're wearing, whatever event you're going to, you will be good to go, because you can dress this down in like a t-shirt, shorts, jeans, a hoodie, whatever, but you can easily dress it up if you're wearing something a little bit more formal and nice, like a suit, a tux, a button up. And it's the kind of fragrance that you can just wear going to any event. If you're just going to the grocery store, out shopping, you can wear it. If you're going to a nice kind of wedding, you can wear it. And especially if you're going like on a nice kind of date night out with your girl, you could absolutely pull this off and she'll probably be head over heels for you. And usually every single time I wear Asad, I just know I'm gonna get a compliment from somebody. The only way I'm not gonna get a compliment from this fragrance if I'm just sitting at home around nobody at all, because this is very crowd pleasing and people just love the DNA and are always asking you what you're wearing with this. So for gender, it is kind of like Sauvage Elixir, a very masculine fragrance. I don't really see a woman wearing this, at least wouldn't get my attention if I smelled a woman walking by wearing Asad. I might do a double take on her, but it's not gonna be a good double take, just because it's a very smoky, spicy, earthy style fragrance that I just couldn't picture a woman wearing. It doesn't mean a woman couldn't wear this if she wanted to. Of course, you can wear whatever you want, whoever you are, but at the end of the day, this does smell very masculine. Now for age groups, I know when I reviewed Sauvage Elixir, I did say that's a very mature fragrance, which it is, and is the most mature Sauvage out there out of all three. Since this one is much cheaper and it's lacking, of course, the aromatic qualities which make things mature, it's also lacking that very spicy licorice note, which is also very mature. If you are a younger guy, you can absolutely pull this one off, especially if you're a teenager. You're gonna be the best teenager going to school or wherever you're at. But also, of course, if you're in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and up, you can pull this one off flawlessly. So very versatile when it comes to age. Wrapping the review off, talking on the performance, which I know a lot of you guys are interested in. And trust me, this stuff is strong, and you kind of expect that as well. If it's gonna clone Sauvage Elixir, it's gonna have to clone the performance that comes with that fragrance, because that's a nuclear beast. With Asad, I got about 10 hours of pretty solid longevity, so easily gonna last you the majority of the day. You're not gonna have to reapply this. It's not weak by any means. I would say though, it's a little less strong than Sauvage Elixir, but when I say a little less strong, it doesn't mean this is a lackluster performing fragrance. Just Sauvage Elixir is one of the strongest fragrance out of my entire 500 bottle collection, and you kind of expect that. Of course, that's an extrait de parfum and you're paying a hefty price for it, but this is not far behind, trust me. I maybe got around 12 hours of longevity with Sauvage Elixir. This is about that 10-hour mark. And for the projection, guys, this is something you're gonna have to be cautious on where you're wearing it and who you're around, because this is a room filler. Especially the first couple hours, it's a very, very loud projector. To the point, like if you're walking into a fairly like medium-sized room, you're gonna fill the entire space, and like somebody all the way in the corner on the opposite side will most likely smell you. They might not know it's you if there's a lot of people, but they're gonna smell Asad. Like I said, especially within that first maybe 4 hours or so, very, very potent, loud fragrance. Especially with me, if you watch my weekly fragrance rotations, I usually do overspray my stuff. And even for my usual spray routine, might be a little bit too much when it comes to this. So just to wrap it up, you're getting a heck of a fragrance with Asad for a reasonable, affordable price that you really cannot beat. It's extremely versatile, will get you a ton of attention and compliments, and will easily perform the entire day. I mean, honestly, what more could you ask for from a fragrance? The only lackluster part about it is that somewhat of a harsh, kind of a scratchy opening you're gonna get, but it does smooth out as it dries down and turns a little bit better. That's gonna do it for my review of the very hyped Lattafa Asad. I do wanna check out the new Asad in that blue bottle. I forget exactly what it's called. Let me know down below if you tried the blue one, if you tried Asad, and what are your thoughts? And if there's any others from Lattafa you recommend me check out, leave a comment down below. But besides that, leave a like, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and you already know I'll catch all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.